Welcome, welcome. It is me, Dwayne. You know who I am if you watch the channel. Um, I am going to do my top 10 games, new games to me from 2024. Number 10, we've got Courtesans. Courtesans here is a small, fast, quick, light card game. I don't know how you would describe it, but object of the game is you have a mat, which represents the royal court, in the middle of the table, and then you have three cards in your hand. What you're going to be doing is you're going to play one card in front of you, one card in front of an opponent, and one card at the table. What you are doing is you are setting the score for each family. If there's more cards on top of the table, that family's going to go positive. If there's more cards on the bottom of the table, that family's going to be negative. And then you are putting cards, hopefully positive, in front of yourself, and cards, maybe negative, in front of other players. And of course, there's special cards, some that count as double, some that can't be killed, some that do kill. Very quick, light, fun game. Played this so many times, especially at the end of a night or when the group first gets there before a big game. Courtesans. My number 9, Fairy Ring. A bit of a surprise, kind of just popped out of nowhere. I saw it on a shelf and I was like, hey, that looks cool. So I grabbed it, and it really feels like a modern classic. Object of the game is it uses the entire table space. So each player has their own mushroom garden in front of them, and each mushroom scores differently. And you can also stack those mushrooms, which will stack the scoring. Now, here's the thing, each card has a movement on it, how many spaces that you're going to go around the table. You will take your fairy and you're going to move it mushroom by mushroom around the table. If you land on your own mushroom, cool, you're going to score your own points. If you land on somebody else's mushroom, you will get points, but they will also get points. So it's all about kind of timing where your fairy is going to end up. Most of the time, it's going to be on another player's mushroom, but if you can time it up to where it only lands on your mushroom, that's awesome. Also, a very pretty game as well. Standees, awesome. The art, beautiful. Components, nice. Fairy Ring. Next up, my number 8, Dinosaur Island, The Roar and Write, which is quite a surprise because if you know me, you know I'm not a huge fan of roll and writes, but this one does something for me. Maybe it's the theme because I like the Dinosaur Island game already, and dinosaurs are awesome. But also, it's pretty chunky for a roll and write, so it feels like I'm actually doing something. It's a drafting game, so you're going to roll dice and you're going to pick those dice. You're either going to take money, DNA, attractions, roads to connect your park together. And then throughout the game, you're going to be buying dinosaurs, buying or hiring specialists to make your park run. And then at the end, you'll have this pretty cute, neat little dinosaur park in front of you. That is Dinosaur Island, Roar and Write. Number 7, Iwari. Iwari here is a really, really cool area majority game that's very simple on the surface, but man, once you start getting into it, it's like, dang, this is kind of tough because you're kind of limited on how you can put your pieces out. So, like, you have tents and you have totems. Tents can go on the board anywhere. However, if the region that you place it in is empty, you can only place one for your turn, and that's it. However, if the region is not empty, you can put a tent and a totem, two totems, or two tents. Now, the thing with the totems is they'll give you big points at the end of the game, but you can only place as many totems in a region as the majority player has tents. So, for example, if the highest number of one player's tents is three in a region, you can only place three totems total. Doesn't matter what color, total, which is really cool. And it makes it super kind of difficult as to where you want to place your pieces and be like, should I ignore this? Should I go here? Really makes you think. Um, Another really cool production. The art is awesome. The pieces, as again, the pieces are simple, but they look really cool. They really work. That is Owari. As I talked about earlier, my number six, Dinosaur Island. I put this game off for so long, and I don't know why, and I really regret it that I only just recently started playing it. Dinosaur Island is super, super, super cool. It is again, it is a worker placement drafting game where, just like in the Rarn, right? You're collecting DNA, you're collecting money, you are collecting dinosaur recipes to create dinosaurs, and of course, what's a dinosaur park without death and destruction? Um, some dice and some conditions will raise your threat level, and if your threat level is too high, some of your guests may get eaten, which is bad, obviously, for money making purposes. But yeah, Dinosaur Island, crunchy, bigger game, but it's super cool, super fun, very vibrant, very cool looking game. It's got that kind of like neon 80s, 90s look to it. That is Dinosaur Island. We are in the top five. So, my number five game of 2024, boom! Rococo. Rococo is a super cool game where you are a tailor making dresses and garments for fancy people going to a fancy ball. How it works is you've got a deck of cards, employees that you've curated, and you are going to pick three of those cards to play the round with. Now, of course, you can collect more cards to play more actions, but you have a base of three actions at minimum. And doing what you do with those actions is very important because you want to do a lot. And you will do a lot because there's a lot to do on the board. There's a lot of actions. And each employee has a level. And each level of employee can do a certain action depending on their level, which I think is really cool. And again, just another really pretty game. The board is awesome. It's very big, it's very bright. And that is Rococo. The big number four game. We've got Tapestry. Man, something about this game I just really, 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 really like. It's a civilization game where you are building out your civilization in various means, controlling their military power, their science, their art, their technology by pushing up different tracks. So each turn, you're going to push up a track, spending resources to do so, and each level on each track gives you some sort of benefit. Now, the thing that strikes me about this game is there are so many civilizations to play as and with, and the combos that you can create with the civs and the regions, I guess you would call them. It's a lot of fun. And that is Tapestry. We're in the top three. My number three, as you can tell. Also, which I'm glad Sebastian kind of has some of these games that I don't. Twilight Imperium, the big guy, the big boy, the big kid on the block. Ugh. This game is amazing. This game is great. Big old 4X space game. You're going out. You've got all these different factions that you can play as. You're going to go. You're going to explore. You're going to fight, maybe. You're going to trade, maybe. Lots of pieces. Very cool. Oh my gosh, it's an experience. If you like board games, you have to play it at least once. You have to set aside a day for it. Long game, but it doesn't even feel like that because you're having so much fun. A lot of tension. A lot of tension in the game as well. It's only a game to 10 points, but the points are very lucrative. So in order to get them, you have to kind of wheel and deal your way around the board and around some of the other players. That is Twilight Imperium. Next up, my number 2. We've got SETI. I think one of the only 2 games on my top 10 that actually came out in 2024. This came out late in the year. Kind of sprung up on me. I never really heard about this. I heard about it a little bit before it actually came out. But it interested me. The theme, you're in space, not in space. You're exploring space. You're searching for extraterrestrials. Search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI. It's a point salad game, and there is a lot that you can do. So many actions. You can send out probes, you can gain tech, you can send signals. There's a lot you can do, and there's a lot of points to be had. But I think that's what I really like about the game, is that there's so many things that you can do, and there's so many ways to get points that it doesn't really feel like you're ever super behind, or like, yes, you might get a big jump ahead in the lead, but you can get caught up to very quickly, which I kind of like. Like, I haven't had a game of this where I feel like, dang, that player's not going to make it, or dang, that player is way too ahead. It's usually at the end of the game where you see the kind of gaps start to be created. But all in all, that is SETI. Last but not least, Kanban, EV. The game that started it all. My love for Lacerda, my enjoyment for super big, heavy games. This game here climbed the ranks, I think, faster than any game has ever climbed the ranks in my lists. Such a cool game with there's a lot to do in this one. There's a lot to keep up with. You work in a car manufacturing factory where you are making cars. You've got to get the blueprints, and then you have to go get the parts, and then you have to create the body of the car, and then you have to send the car out to production. But there's so many little nuances in between. And then there's meetings that will give you scores depending on how many of this color car do you have? How many of this car part have you manufactured? Big, heavy, chunky game. So close. So close to coming up on my number 1. But you know what? I think it'll be a while before it hits number 1. Because if you know me, you know what that number 1 spot is. But my number 1, that is Kanban. Kanban. And thus concludes my top 10 new games to me of 2024. If you like this video, give a like and subscribe. And if you like to see more, comment below that you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.